What is going on, people? Back on the New England Shakeup, Cam and Alex back again. Obviously, it's been a couple weeks, but if you guys aren't casuals, you've been checking in on all of our stuff on TikTok, on the stunt, everywhere else. But I have a quick question. We have the Celtics season review today. Cam's here. We're talking ball, and there's a man named Jason Tatum, Cam, who's came back and is averaging a triple double almost since he's came back. What are your thoughts first off on the Celtics, just like how their season went in general? And then the second thing I'll ask you is, did you expect it? Like, did you expect this team to kind of come together and be at this point the second best team in the Eastern Conference?
So in general, I mean, I feel like I expected the Celtics to be like a playoff contender, but to be in second, not necessarily. But then to add to like what Jaylen Brown was saying the other day, a lot of Celtics fans wanted them to tank this year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for all the Celtics fans, like in the people in our comments that wanted them to tank before the season started, we got to second. I mean, we were in third for most of the time without Tatum. Tatum comes back. He's averaging 21 and 10 a game. And people are saying we rushed him back. I mean, I don't think we rushed him back. I think he healed quicker than people thought he was going to. And in general, I mean, you've had similar injuries to Tatum. Like, do you think they rushed him back too soon? You want him to get reps before the playoffs anyway.
Yeah, I mean, do I think that they rushed him back? No. I don't think that there was any parameters around that, especially with an Achilles. It all depends on the person, right? Like,
yeah.
Let's say you tear it, but you've never had a calf strain before, right? Like, you're new to a calf strain. You have a calf strain that happens, and all of a sudden you're dealing with more calf strains. And I feel like Halliburton, even before he tore his knee or tore up his Achilles, mind you, Tatum and him kind of had similar injuries. Like, throughout the season last year, Tyrese Halliburton had a couple calf injuries on the same calf that ended up, obviously tearing in the finals. My biggest thing is like, from a Celtics fan, you look at it as, okay, well, they didn't exactly rush him back, but in the same breath, it's like, if you don't give him a ramp up period, what do you expect him to do the first week of the playoffs with basically having to get off the rust in 4 days? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than having, a month, which I think is a withstandable amount of time, especially with the teams they've been playing. I think they have been tested a little bit. Now, that remains to be seen when the playoffs come around, what, they're going to be able to look like. But I think that as far as the coaching staff, and I think me and you can both agree that Brad Stevens has a huge part in this, like a huge part. Obviously, you look at what he did with Neemias Queta and bringing him over from Maine, obviously, and obviously his time in Portugal. So there have been pieces all along the bench where you're like, damn, where did he come from? And then it's like, oh, Hugo Gonzalez drafted, right? And you don't really know the kid. He starts playing really good on-ball defense, and you're like, is this the next Marcus Smart? Like, you're really asking yourself that as a Celtics fan, because, I'm not going to be casual right now. Like, we can both agree, we've talked about this before. The Celtics, to me, this year, are only going to go as far as that bench takes them in the playoffs. I think me and you can both agree that we know what we're getting out of the starting five, I think, on any given night now, right? So give me, like, your take on basically how you think the bench is going to do throughout the playoffs with the matchups that potentially may be stacking up for the Celtics.
Well, I mean, like any competitive team, like the three teams that I think of, especially this year, like San Antonio, Oklahoma City, and the Celtics this year, like it's the bench. Like, look at names. Like, you brought up Gonzalez, but like Garza, Walsh, even Shireman, like nobody like thought he was going to really do much this year. And then you have players like a Peyton Pritchard, like sixth man coming off the bench, and then you compare that to like San Antonio. Like,
yeah,
San Antonio has the Carter Bryant that they drafted this year, the Dylan Harper. I mean, the Celtics just picked up Ron Harper Jr. It's like whatever team's like the most deep, that's what's like kind of killing the Lakers too. Like, now that Luka's out, Like you'll see how they're just not deep enough to compete. I mean, another deep team would be like the Rockets, I think are pretty deep. But it's more of like the Western Conference teams than the East. Like the Knicks have a good starting five, but how deep are the Knicks really? How deep are like the 76ers? Like a lot of these teams, once you get to that sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth man, they're not going to compete with the Celtics, the Spurs, the Thunder. Like teams like that.
And that's a great point. And I think like even a team like this year, I think we can both agree like that Ant injury kind of hurt the Timberwolves for that stretch that he was out, right? But the good thing about it is we've played basketball obviously before. When somebody's out, somebody else gets more shots. You know what I mean? So you saw that be firsthand with Julius Randle and Ayo Dosunmu getting open looks. You know what I mean? So for the Timberwolves, I feel like it was a blessing in disguise because not only did they trade for Dosunmu at the deadline, and he was already trying to get integrated into minutes and what have you, but now it gives him the chance that off the bench now, he and Bones Highland have the green light. And I think that's huge for that team, especially in the West and how everything's going to stack up. But getting back to the Celtics, I don't think there's a team in the East that can fuck with them when they are on their A game. And, excuse my French on that, but I think the Celtics are the deepest team in basketball. I still believe that. I personally believe that OKC, and we've talked about this the last couple of years, every team that wins a ring, they get into the playoffs and they lose after the first round, right? So, and that's been a constant ongoing thing. Now, me and you aren't casual. We can both sit here and agree that the Thunder and the Spurs have a big case in possibly being the best team in basketball. We're being a little bit, New England generous right now because I feel like that team without Tatum this year still could have taken the Spurs or the Thunder to the brink, regardless of who was playing minutes or what have you.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing I think for the Celtics in the playoffs is going to be, can these guys in a road setting hit shots? And, the Shiremans of the world, the Hugo Gonzalez's of the world. I mean, lo and behold, Cam, if Jaylen Brown were to get into foul trouble, in a first game or a second game, or maybe it's a game 6 for fuck's sake, right? What would that lineup look like? What is Missoula going to throw at, a Jamal Mosley for the Magic? What matchup do you think that Celtics have the biggest kind of one hand on over everybody in the East? Because I think it's their bench.
Yeah.
I think that from top to bottom, when you look at their 6th man to their 15th guy on their roster, I mean, looking at it right now, obviously Pritchard's the minutes leader off the bench. I think we could have probably agreed there, right? But then you look at like Baylor Shireman's getting 22 minutes a game. Jordan Walsh is getting 25 minutes a game. Garza is getting 18 minutes a game. Like, what guy for the Knicks? Shit, the Pistons. I mean, are you sold on the Pistons in the East?
Not with the lack of depth. I mean, like you can see, like when Cade has an off game, like when they played the Spurs.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if Cade doesn't show up, like any team where you can take one player out of the equation and end the game, like even like the Nuggets. I mean, of course, Jokic, honestly, like me being a big Spurs guy still, I think Jokic is the best player in the league, like for his impact of what he does. Like, Of course, everyone's going to say it's Shy, but I think like if you took both of them off, like if you take Shy off the Thunder, they're still going to do decently well. Definitely not number 1 seed, but they'd be like a 5th or 6th seed. If you take Jokic off the Nuggets, like there are times where they score 25 points and he's involved on 21 of the points, and then he subs off and they can't get anything going. Like he has the highest impact. Like even like the Spurs, like you take Wemby off the Spurs and they still did decent when he was out. Like for actual like MVP impact, I feel like Jokic is the player that just like impacts basketball the most. And then adding on to what you were saying about how deep the Celtics are, do you think they're missing a piece? or do you think that they're? I mean,
I
I feel
think
like we
I
already
think
kind of
come the
answered that, but that was
playoffs,
a question I had
come
before
come
the.
the yeah, come the playoffs, uh I'm worried about Vucevic.
Yeah,
I think that's a huge piece to it. Not only does Vucevic give you the paint protector center and also give you the passing facilitating center, not as good as Jokic, obviously, right?
yeah,
But
but he's like that modern day center that can shoot and pass. I mean, he's
right,
not a great defender, but he does enough to at least hold the space.
right. And when you have, I mean, if you have that and Pritchard coming off the bench, bro,
Yeah,
that's basically two six-mans coming off the bench for you. I mean, Nikola Vucevic could probably start on 20 other teams in the league at center. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So based off of that and how their rotation is, I mean, it's gonna suck for Luka Garza. You know what I mean? He's probably gonna lose a couple minutes here and there. But I feel like Vucevic really is the key for the playoffs, though,
yeah,
because not to say that Keita isn't a good defender at the rim, but he's not like a timely shot blocker at the rim. Like he can get there, don't get me wrong. I've seen him block shots this year, but it's like when you need like that crucial block, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
under 4 minutes, you need a big stop. He's not very good at that. And I feel like Vucevic with him, like you say, you play Vucevic at the 4, you run a big lineup, you put Tatum at the 1, you run a big lineup. Who's gonna stop that in the East? Like no team is 6'9" and above through 1 through 5. Like that's you the size difference with the rebounding and everything against most East teams. I mean, you look at the Knicks. The Knicks, other than Karl Anthony Towns and Mitch Robinson, they're a pretty small team, bro. They have Mikal
yeah,
Bridges, who's 6'6", Josh Hart, who's 6'6", Anunoby, who's 6'6", Brunson, who's 6'1", McBride, who comes off their bench, little guard, right? Alvarado, little
yeah,
guard, right? Sohan, obviously, is probably one of their taller players, 6'9", right? But the way that the Celtics have length is almost like if you're watching the Thunder, because you watch the Thunder and you see, like, not Andrew Wiggins, Aaron Wiggins, for God's sake, right? You see
yeah,
Aaron Wiggins, Dort, Cason Wallace, Caruso, and they can all switch, right? And the difference in that is, okay, not one single person is going to be singled out, like on the defensive end to say, like, yo, I'm going at him. You know what I mean? With the Thunder, it's kind of the same thing. With you guys, with the Spurs, it's kind of the same thing. How are you going to get Wemby out on a switch on a guard and ask the guard who's 6'2" to shoot over somebody who's 7'4"?
yeah,
It's just all about a lot of times, Cam. It's all about like X's and O's,
yeah,
how a coach is going to be able to draw a certain matchup. But another thing too is what I've been seeing Missoula do more over the past week, and we'll talk about it right now. You've probably noticed it too. He's been playing a lot of zone, and
yeah,
I don't know if that's on purpose. I don't know if that's something, he wants to see before the playoffs and needs to know if we can be in a consistent zone. Um, but I've also noticed that this year we're a man-to-man defense team. I don't think this year we're really a zone-heavy defensive team. I mean, we could, obviously pick out points in the season, stretches of games in which they played well, but with them being able to switch everything like they did a couple years ago is everything for this team,
yeah,
because not only does it allow Jaylen Brown to switch on to a Jalen Brunson, switch on to a Jalen Johnson, Apollo Bencaro, players like that you're probably going to see in the foreseeable future here in the playoffs. You want to be able to get your best defender on him. So if
yeah,
that's the case, I think the Celtics honestly have it figured out, bro. I'm not too worried about
yeah.
them.
Well, then
Yeah.
like a separate sidebar. So that Celtics, like the Pearson Garnett trade, to like set us up for the Brown and Tatum picks. Um, that kind of set us up for who knows like how long. And then the
Yeah.
Thunder did the exact same thing, like that trade where they traded Paul George away. So that was just something I was like thinking about before the episode of like how many teams have like set themselves up just from like trading a player for picks.
Yeah, but
Like, you
at
know
the
what I
same,
mean?
yeah, but at the same time, like we obviously we love to bring up this team because they're always so interesting to talk about. Uh like, do you think the Sacramento Kings are kind of like kicking themselves right now for trading Halliburton away?
I know, and De'Aaron Fox, yeah. Imagine having both of them.
Exactly. Like, I still to this day can't like that. I feel like that's a team that like just hasn't done a good job of it. Obviously,
Yeah,
that's
the
why I'm bringing
trading.
them up. But like, I almost feel bad for them. Like, you traded Halliburton a couple years before he kind of got to his elevation of his
Yeah.
career, right? Taking them to the finals. And not only that, you trade away your franchise point guard, your all-time leader in assists for who? For picks? For basically
Well,
not much compensation.
and they usually draft like how the Trailblazers do. Like De'Aaron Fox was like kind of the he got drafted by the Kings, right? He was like their
Yeah.
last good like draft pick. And then it's like you have the Trailblazers who like there was what was the historic? They passed on Jordan.
They
They
passed on
traded
Jordan. They
they
passed
passed
on
on
Kevin
Jordan,
Durant.
yeah,
They
for
picked
Greg
Greg
Oden, and then
Oden.
they traded another pick away that was going to be like a star player. I can't remember what it was, but they could have had Jordan, somebody else in between, and Kevin Durant.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Which, yeah, I mean, if you're not going to make the most out of the draft picks, like if you're a team that doesn't draft well, then there's no point in trading like a declining star for draft picks. But when you're a team like Boston, the Thunder, the Spurs, like those are those teams that got to where they're at because of how good they draft.
Oh no, absolutely. And I just think that from top to bottom, man, I don't see how somebody can look at the like landscape of the NBA right now and say the Celtics don't have a shot. Like, obviously, we have lives and do our TikTok thing and talk to people about sports all the time. Well, here's a good one that I got the other day, and you'll appreciate this. So, somebody said to me, "Well, the Celtics have no shot at winning a title this year." I said, "Well, elaborate. I mean, don't just leave it there. Tell me, finish your point." Well, he said, "Well, the West is too stacked this year for an East team to win." I said, "Okay." I said, "Back in '04, when the Lakers had that team, right? And everybody said that the West was stacked, right? What happened?" He said, "Well, the Pistons won the NBA championship." I said, "Wait, so the East team won, right?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Okay. So what about a couple years ago also when Phoenix went to the finals, went through the West, hardest conference, and played Milwaukee? What happened?" He said, "Well, Milwaukee won." I said, "I'm seeing a trend here. So you're telling me that if the best team out of the West this year gets to the finals, that whoever the East team is, they can't win?" He's like, "No, I don't believe so." I said, "Well, there's been 4 times in the last 8 years that it's happened. I mean, that's just in it itself, right?" So, based off of that point and going forward, how is it to say that a team like the Hawks, who I'm going to be real for a second about that team, that's the team that scares me for us to play them. And the reason why I say is this: they have so much size, bro.
Yeah.
Jalen Johnson is 6'10, Okongwo's 6'11, Dyson Daniels is 6'8. I mean, they can match up size for size with our guards and our forwards. No problem. The other thing I worry about with the Hawks is me and you both know Quinn Snyder's a pretty good fucking head coach when he gets some players around him.
Yeah.
Especially, yeah. So we can agree to that there. So my one thing that I'm like looking at Atlanta is It would be one thing if they didn't trade for Kuminga at the deadline. But the fact that they got Kuminga also on top of what they're already doing after trading Trae Young, I'm going to tell you something, Cam. That shit is dangerous. When a team like that, who's basically was written off halfway through the year after everything was going on with Trae and him being hurt and then them trading him, what do you think a team like Atlanta does against Boston? Because to be real, I think the Hawks scare me way more than the Magic do. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Hawks scare me more than the Magic too, but I feel like both those teams are just kind of like too young. They don't really have any like experienced like winners. I feel like I don't know. I feel like they're just gonna try and outrun the Celtics, and the Celtics have too many like people that have won, or even like a Vucevic who they brought in. Like they just have too many vets. Like they're gonna play their game just like the same way the Spurs would slow the game up and play their game. So it doesn't really matter if teams are gonna like outrun them or try and grind them down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I just want to leave everybody with this kind of like nugget and note for a second. Okay, so the first thing is, guys, the NFL draft is coming up too, as well. And Cam and I will have an episode for you guys probably by the end of this weekend for the NFL draft and talking Patriots, because I know that a lot of people have been asking us, especially on Twitter, Cam, about what's our pick at 31? What's our pick at 31?
Yeah.
Well, I think we can both kind of agree that that's probably an edge rusher, right? I think we came to an agreement there a
Yeah,
couple weeks ago.
if we don't get one, yeah, like in a trade.
Yeah.
I was
So
under the trade impression, you were under the draft impression, so I think we'll see where that goes.
yeah, and we obviously will be bringing you guys that, but we also are going to be doing something cool for you guys too, which will be a couple different things. So the first thing is that you guys may be able to run into Cam and I coming up at a Red Sox game if you guys are there. So come say what's up. Come take a picture if you guys want, you know. The second thing is, okay, I'm not going to let this be mistaken, and I'm bringing it up on the episode right now, and you are going to be like, this motherfucker. Okay, so the national championship is tonight for college basketball. Okay, guys, my heart is torn right now, okay? Cam knows why, okay? I have Michigan winning it all, okay? But the problem is that Cam knows I'm a UConn fan, like, through and through. So, if that's the case, shouldn't the basketball gods, like, make it a tie? Like, just cuz? Just asking everybody. But on another note, really quick before obviously we get going, because this is going to be we just doing a review today for the Celtics. But my first question to everybody, really, and my last question, I should say, of the day is, how many more times are we going to give Coach of the Year to an NBA coach who doesn't deserve it? That's my question for everybody to leave off of. You guys can answer it on Twitter and do whatever you guys want, shouting us out and whatever. But you guys need to answer that question for me. Why do they keep giving the NBA Coach of the Year award to somebody who doesn't deserve it? Cam, this is my last nugget of the day, and I'll let you end with something too. We can both agree Joe Mazzulla deserves that Coach of the Year this year. No doubt. No doubt, right? Leave everybody with your last nugget of the day or a question that you want people to answer for the next week for the episode.
Yeah, I mean, the only question I have for the fans at home is, do they think that the Celtics are missing a piece? And if so, who is that player, whether it's a guard, a big, a wing? And then I just want to thank everyone for listening, and we will catch you this weekend for an episode.
Yeah, guys, make sure you guys tune in. It's most likely going to be Saturday, I would presume.
Yeah, Red Sox are NFL. Yep.
Yeah, So we'll be talking draft. We'll also be bringing up film, which will be cool as hell for you guys to look at from our point of view and what I see and things of that nature. And also, one more piece that I think everybody should leave off with is just want to let everybody know that Drake May got a buzz cut. Just want to let everybody know that Drake May got a buzz cut. So I don't know. But you guys know it. We're the best New England sports podcast out there, the New England Shakeup guys. And we are out for today. But go UConn, go Michigan, whatever side you're on tonight. Just pick whatever side you're on tonight, fellas. But we are out. Have a great night. Peace.